Chapter 128 of Married Thrice to Salted Fish. The person who came to pick them up was a middle aged man with extremely short hair driving a black car. Lin Qingye could tell that this car was cleaner and more refined than most other cars on the road. Just as there were bad horses and good horses, there were also bad cars and good cars. Lin Qingye saw a circular sign erected at the very front of the car, a circle that was evenly divided into thirds. Did this have some profound meaning? Yes, Qingyu, that's a Benz. Jiangxing has always gotten along with their family driver. Their driver didn't need to come down and open the door for them. They were normal people and there was no need to put on any sort of show. Jiangxing opened the door to the back seat and made a gesture of invitation. Go on in, didn't you want to ride one of these? Lin Qingye bent over to get in and then sat up. Jiangxing then got in and greeted the driver. Uncle Chen. The driver grinned. It's been a long time. The driver saw Lin Qingye from the rear view mirror and said in surprise, Ah Cheng, is this your classmate? The driver and Jiangxing spoke Cantonese, but Jiangxing answered in Mandarin. No, he's not. He wasn't a classmate, but the driver tacitly understood that he was a friend. The driver also switched to Mandarin. Why is your friend wearing ancient clothes? Is he a celebrity? Jiangxing smiled and said, No, we just came back from the Hanfu fair. Hanfu? Oh, I know. It's very popular among young people nowadays. Yes, Jiangxing replied casually. Uncle Chen, please turn down the temperature of the air conditioning. We walked around outside and it was so hot. The driver lowered the temperature by 2 degrees and complained. At this rate, it won't be cold until November. Lin Qingye listened to the conversation between Jiangxing and the man. In his estimation, the man should be someone like a groom, but Jiangxing had called him uncle and he talked as if they were equals. Jiangxing did the same when he was in the Dayu. When Sha Songxi brings him tea and water, he would occasionally get a thank you from the emperor, and it made Sha Songxi feel as if his life was about to end. He begged Jiangxing to let him go, crying bitterly. Only then did Jiangxing restrain himself. The corners of Lin Qingye's lips quietly ticked up. This Jiangxing, who was gentle and courteous to others, had another kind of cuteness that couldn't be seen in the Dayu. With Jiangxing by his side, Lin Qingye was finally in the mood to appreciate this strange world. He looked out the window and saw all kinds of shops lining the road. He knew every word on the shops and didn't know what it meant when they were connected together. There were also tall buildings rising from the ground. They went up so high. How were people about to go up? As the sky gradually darkened, lights went on in every building, lighting up Lin Qingye's eyes. This was Jiangxing's hometown, so bright, so colorful. There were air conditioners and mobile phones. There were gorgeous girls working outside, cars that run faster than 1,000 Li horses, and sweet milk tea and egg tarts. Jiangxing grew up in such a world. It was so nice. The driver drove the car directly into the community's underground garage. Before getting out of the car, Jiangxing said, Thank you, Uncle Chen. No need to be so polite. Your family pays me. The driver smiled and said, Call me anytime you need anything. After the driver left, Lin Qingye asked, Is the person who drove a servant of your family? Jiangxing choked, then said with lingering fear, That was a close call. What do you mean? It's a good thing you didn't ask me this question in the car. Jiangxing's toes curled in mortification just imagining the scene. Or it would have definitely meant my social death. Lin Chingyu said. What does social death mean? Human death is divided into two types. One is normal death, and the other is social death. Lin Chingyu was extremely intelligent, and he immediately understood with just this hint. He snorted coldly and said, I'm not stupid. Of course, I wouldn't have asked in front of the driver. However, your driver seemed to speak differently from us. Oh, that's because he's lived in a Cantonese speaking area his whole life. Naturally, he would have a bit of an accent when speaking in Mandarin. Then, why don't you have such an accent? Lin Chingyu then remembered. Ah, that's right. It's because you only came back to Gaoshao when you entered high school. You told me that when you were in the Dayu. Jiang Xing made a sound. I used to tell you everything, huh? Am I that much of a chatterer in front of you? Conan says, my father taught me this in Hawaii, while you come here to Gaoshao and say, my husband taught me this in the Dayu. There are still many things you haven't told me. For example, how did we go up this building soaring into the sky? Thank you for finally acting like an ancient and allowing me my dignity as a person of modern times. Jiang Xing led Lin Chingyu to a strange door. We'll take the elevator up, Lin Chingyu said. Elevator? No matter how much Jiang Xing talked about it, he couldn't cover everything. For example, the elevator. Jiang Xing never mentioned it to him. Jiang Xing briefly introduced the principle behind the elevator. The elevator uses a traction drive method, and the core of the drive mechanism lies in. Lin Chingyu interrupted him. In short, we can go up when we ride this box. Jiang Xing snapped his fingers. That's a good summary. Aside from the door in front of them, there was another one not far away. Lin Chingyu asked, is that other one also an elevator? That's a housekeeper's elevator. Housekeeper? Jiang Xing described to him a housekeeper's duties. Lin Chingyu nodded. I understand. A housekeeper is a servant. Jiang Xing explained patiently. A housekeeper is not a servant. They are employed on an equal footing with us. So, when you interact with our housekeeper in the future, you can't treat her like a servant. Just treat her like an ordinary elder. When you have got nothing to say, just say thank you a few more times, and the food she cooks will taste even better. Lin Chingyu was puzzled. Since you're equals, then why don't the housekeepers and owners take the same elevator? Jiang Xing was stumped by this question. In order to maintain his omniscient image in front of Lin Chingyu, he could only come up with an universal answer. Why are the elevators separate, you say? Well, I believe you are familiar with elevators, but elevators have to be separated. Why must they be separated, you say? Housekeepers must take the housekeeper's elevator, and the owners must take the... Lin Chingyu's eyes twitched. Fine, shut up. Entering the elevator, Lin Chingyu watched the number gradually increase from -1, finally stopping at 26. Lin Chingyu heard a ding, and the elevator door opened. Jiang Xing began to change his shoes. We are here. He helped Lin Chingyu take out a new pair of indoor slippers. I will get you some clothes. You can sit wherever you want. Do you want to take a shower first? Lin Chingyu looked around curiously. Yes. Jiang Xing went to his wardrobe, picked out a t-shirt and pair of shorts he'd only wore once, took out a new bath towel and placed them in the bathroom. Back in the living room, he saw Lin Chingyu leaning over and touching the sofa, his expression looking a little wrong. Jiang Xing asked, What's wrong? Lin Qingyu hesitated to speak. It's nothing. Then, should I show you to the bathroom? Lin Qingyu said. There is no rush. Jiangshin's house must also have air conditioning since he doesn't feel hot at all now. Show me around your house first. Jiangxing was a little confused. Okay. Starting from the living room, Lin Qingyu followed Jiangxin to see the dining room, the entertainment room, the L-shaped balcony, the kitchen, the master's bedroom, the elder's bedroom, the guest bedroom, the study room, and even the housekeeper's room. Auntie's on leave. I will be the only one in this house for the whole holiday. Well, now you are here too. Lin Qingyu frowned. Your house is really... Jiangshen was very self-effacing. It's a little big for just one person, but you just need to get used to it. Your house is really small. It's so small. Is it enough for you to live in? There is not even a garden or a pond. If you want to fish, you will have to go out. Lin Qingyu looked at Jiangxing lovingly and sympathetically. You really have such a tough life here. Oh my gosh! Imagine Jiangxin thinking, oh my gosh, I'm showing him all this luxury of modern world. He might just think, that I'm living like a king. And Lin Qingyu comes over and looks at him pitifully and be like, oh my poor husband, you lived in poverty, huh? Oh my gosh, you didn't even have a garden or a pond? You have to go outside to fish? Jiangxing went silent for a long time. He then said hesitantly, Might I ask, what did you do before you married me? Lin Qingyu said, Originally, I was the son of the Imperial Medical Officer's Pan Yuan. Later, I became an imperial physician, and finally, I was Prime Minister of the Imperial Court. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Turns out you are the Lord Prime Minister, huh? Jiangshin gave a sheepish smile, feeling awkward at having been rude. This place of ours really isn't fit to house the third in command of a nation. I have wronged the Lord Prime Minister. There is no need for that. I am your wife. Naturally, I won't dislike you over something like this. Lin Qingyu thought for a while and asked, Is there a pawn shop in Guangzhou? A pawn shop? When I was young, I occasionally saw one or two, but it will probably be difficult to find one now, Jiangxing said. Lord Prime Minister, why are you asking this? Find a pawn shop and sell these clothes. The money can help cover our living expenses, Jiangxing said with a complicated expression. Thank you. If it's not enough, there is still this jade pendant. When Lin Qingyu transmigrated, he'd been wearing around his waist a beautiful jade pendant of the finest quality, a tribute from the north. If that's still not enough, the only thing left to pawn is our wedding ring. Wedding ring? You specially designed it. Lin Qingyu took off the ring and showed it to Jiangxing. Jiangxing carefully inspected it inside and out. It really did look like his design style. Jiangxing was at a loss. What about my wedding ring? Lin Qingyu said. It should still be on your body in the Dayu. Jiangxing became unhappy. A wedding ring is such an important thing. How can you even think of selling it? It's because I don't want you living in such poverty. Lin Qingyu has always paid little attention to these things outside of him. The reason why this ring was significant was because it was given to him by Jiangxing. To him, Jiangxing was more important than anything else. We still have one ring. You gave this to me when we were married for the third time. If you think it's a pity, you can give me another later. Jiang Xing laughed. Okay, okay. Oh my gosh. Like Lin Chingyu just called me poor in so many freaking languages I can't even say. Lin Chingyu, your husband is living in a freaking skyscraper, have a driver who drives a freaking Benz. He has a housekeeper who can live in house and cooks for you. And you have a freaking apartment that has a bedroom, a guest bedroom, an elder's bedroom. It has a freaking study room. It has an entertainment room. And you called him poor? Oh my gosh. He would just think of me as a freaking slave. Damn. Jiang Xing took Lin Chingyu to his ensuite bathroom. Lost memories aside, he and Lin Chingyu have only been together for a few hours, but he can already understand Lin Chingyu's thoughts about all these modern things just from his expression. For example, Lin Chingyu's slightly inquisitive eyes meant that he didn't know how to use the things in the bathroom. This is for the hot water and this is for cold water. Jiang Xing demonstrated to Lin Chingyu how to adjust the water temperature. Then apply this on your body. You can use the stuff in the blue bottle to wash your hair. I will put away your clothes for you and then I'll go out. Call me anytime you have any questions. Lin Chingyu asked, "You're going out?" Jiang Xing choked but quickly recovered. He said with a smile, "If I don't go out, then should I stay here and watch you?" Although Lin Chingyu wanted Jiang Xing to recover all his memories as soon as possible, he didn't want to push him too hard. As the saying goes, haste makes waste. He nodded and said, "Then you can go out." Jiang Xing walked out of the bathroom, closed the door, and suddenly felt like he just missed out on $1 million. Everything that happened today was too fantastical. If this was before, Jiang Xing would think it nothing but a low-end scam. But he couldn't explain the feeling Lin Chingyu brought to him, nor could he explain the scenes that flashed in his mind. Pity that the scenes were just scenes and didn't show the whole plot. He wants to remember what happened in the Dayu as soon as possible. He didn't want to disappoint Lin Chingyu. His instincts, like his soul knows what to do. Like, aha. Like the soul is like, "Remember, that's your wife." And he's like, wow. That's called love that transcends parallel worlds, I think. Jiang Xing stood in front of the French windows and thought for almost half an hour, but he still couldn't remember any useful information. Jiang Xing? Jiang Xing turned around and the newly bathed beauty came into view. Jiang Xing quickly looked away. He took a sip of ice-cold cola before turning his gaze back to Lin Chingyu. What he brought to Lin Chingyu was a pure white t-shirt. The fabric was pure cotton, so it easily turned translucent when wet. At this time, Lin Chingyu's wet long hair already turned it half wet. Under the lights of the living room chandelier, Lin Chingyu's porcelain white skin exposed no blemishes, except for the original teardrop mole. His long lashes were also wet, the tip of his nose a little red, and his lips were smudged into a bright color by the steam. He didn't know if he was bent or not, but it didn't seem the matter as if he weren't already bent. When Jiang Xing saw Lin Chingyu wearing fancy clothes, he thought him noble and dignified, a lonely, unmatched existence at the peak. Now, in modern clothes, Jiang Sheng only just realized how long and straight Lin Qingyu's legs were. He was about 6 to 7 centimeters shorter, and his t shirt was obviously a little too big for Lin Qingyu. It obviously had a standard sized ordinary collar, but when Lin Qingyu wore it, it was quickly slipping off his shoulder. Lin Qingyu was a little thin. Tiny fishes could swim in his collarbones. Coupled with his long hair that reached his waist, viewed from the back or side, he looked like a girl. Few men could look so delicate, but Lin Qingyu's appearance wasn't feminine. If he cut his hair short, no one would mistake his gender. To distract himself, Jiang Sheng handed him what he had in his hand and said with a smile, "You're done with the bath? Come on, try this. I will get the hair dryer." "The hair dryer is for drying your hair." "No, I will just wipe it dry." Lin Qingyu looked at a bottle of black water and asked, "What is this?" "It's soda, a kind of water that can make people happy. It's best for drinking after taking a bath in summer." "But isn't it October?" Jiang Sheng shrugged. "October here is no different from midsummer." Lin Qingyu took the soda. He first lowered his head and sniffed it, then took a sip. His expression froze. Jiang Sheng asked with a smile, "Is it good?" "It's a bit sweet, and it also has a stimulation that's hard to describe. I don't like it very much." Lin Qingyu raised his head. "Jiang Sheng, I want to drink milk tea." Jiang Sheng said, "Don't anymore. You have already had one today, and you have eaten so many desserts. You won't be able to sleep at night if you drink any more." Lin Qingyu wasn't very happy. Jiang Sheng has always been responsive to his requests, but now that he was in his own territory, he dared to refuse him. He asked Jiang Sheng, "Is milk tea expensive? So you can't afford too much?" Jiang Sheng couldn't help but laugh. "Well, I suppose it is kind of expensive, but it's not that I can't afford it. Don't be angry. Let's drink it again tomorrow." Without Jiang Sheng knowing it, his tone had already turned coaxing. "That shop today was one that I just found randomly. To be honest, the taste was so-so. Tomorrow I will buy you milk tea that is 100 times better." Lin Qingyu asked doubtfully, "Really? 100 times?" Jiang Sheng assured him, "Really, 100 times better." Lin Qingyu reluctantly accepted this plan, temporarily letting go of his obsession with milk tea. He pointed to the irregularly shaped, glowing cylindrical building very close to them, outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, and asked, "What is that?" Jiang Sheng said, "That's Canton Tower. Because it looks like a human waist, it's also nicknamed Slim Waist. Slim Waist is a landmark building in Guangzhou and one of the must-see attractions for tourists." Seeing it just outside their window, Jiang Sheng had long grown numb to it. "If you like it, I will take you to see it tomorrow night. But it's a holiday now, so there must be a lot of people going there." Lin Qingyu asked, "Who was the person who designed and built Slim Waist?" Jiang Sheng said, "We can look it up on the internet. Why do you ask?" "I want to see him. It might prove rewarding." Lin Qingyu pondered. The Ayush Minister of Public Works recently took leave to mourn the passing of his parent. We are in urgent need of someone to succeed him. Since this person was able to design Slim Waist, he must be a very talented person. If we can seek his advice." Jiang Sheng almost spit out his mouthful of coke. He suppressed a smile and said solemnly, "Don't make your decision too rashly. Next time, I will take you to Beijing and Shanghai to have a look around. You might find a better candidate for the Minister of Public Works. Oh, would you like to read the financial news and select the Minister of the Revenue while you are at it? Lin Qingyu asked, puzzled. What are you laughing at? Jiang Shen had a serious expression. I'm not laughing. Lin Qingyu looked at Jiang Shen as if he was looking at a fool. You're obviously holding back your laughter. Jiang Shen, ... He thought he had pretty good acting skills. How was Lin Qingyu about to see through him? Lin Qingyu saw through Jiang Shen's thoughts again. We have been in a relationship for more than 4 years. I can tell what you're thinking just by your expression. More than 4 years? Jiang Shen grasped the key point. You mean we have been dating for more than 4 years? Yes. We just had our 4th anniversary not too long ago. After such a long time, they could be regarded as old married couple. 4 years. A lot could be done in 4 years. Jiang Shen couldn't help looking at Lin Qingyu's lips. He asked, Then, Qingyu, have I kissed you? Lin Qingyu said lightly, What nonsense. You kiss me every day. Jiang Shen, ... With a wife this beautiful, it would be strange not to kiss him every day. Then have we... Jiang Shen cleared his throat and said as casually as he could manage. Have we had... Lin Qingyu looked up at him and said, Does Lao Gong wish to ask if we have slept together? When he was in Dayu, there were other people around. Lin Qingyu would always call Jiang Shen the emperor. If the two of them were alone, he would usually call Jiang Shen's name directly. The number of times he called him Lao Gong can be counted on his fingers. But now he had an epiphany. When Jiang Shen called him Bao Bei, at first he wasn't used to it and even felt it was a little unnatural. Later, as Jiang Shen called him that more and more often, he seemed to form a misconception. Obviously, he was supposed to be Jiang Shen's Bao Bei all along. It could be deduced from this that if you wanted to turn a person into your husband, you should call him Lao Gong every day. A tingle went through Jiang Shen's whole body at being called Lao Gong. He studied his breathing, turned his eyes away, and pretended to be calm as he said, Lin Qingyu smiled. What do you think? The heat on Jiang Shen's body rose uncontrollably. He lowered his eyes and laughed lowly. Don't laugh at me like that. Lin Qingyu looked at him. Why? Jiang Shen was quiet for a while. Then his hand holding the iced soda suddenly tightened. He raised his head and drank it all in one gulp. The author has something to say. Having written stories set in ancient times for so many years, I suddenly realized how fun writing modern Chinese can be. Me writing ancient Chinese. How should I gracefully describe the protagonist's shock? Joyful? Indignant? Sorrowful? So painful. Just 500 words per hour. Me writing modern setting. Fuck it all. We will do it however I want. Yeah, I can see that. Writing ancient and historical setting is definitely a lot trickier than writing modern. But modern just feels like a conversation you can just write. And the historical setting ones always have this kind of fantasy vibes to them, if you kind of know what I'm talking about. Anyway, kudos to the author that we get this amazing story